fair to say that Ashley did not leave that parking lot alive.
Her attacker was waiting in the shadows.
She was jealous of Chad.
If I told my dad what she was doing to me, then she would do worse.
Investigation I didn't feel was complete because we didn't get the other person.
Somebody wanted to hurt Ashley Biggs.
The heartbreak of a broken family, a loss of power and control, volatile personalities, and a ruthless manipulator. The anger and resentment builds as a powder keg of domestic violence is about to explode. That's what was happening outside the city of Akron, Ohio, when someone, hidden in the darkness, finally lit the fuse.
We're a bedroom community in New Franklin. People out here live and they drive into Akron or Cleveland to work. 15,000 people maybe. It's not like a city, even though we are a city. Everybody in the communities know each other.
Ashley Biggs was one in a million. If you met her once, you'd never forget her. Ashley was the kindest, most gentle soul you could ever meet. She loved everyone. There was not a mean bone in Ashley's body.
Ashley was a young girl, liked to go out and do stuff with her friends. And then she also enrolled in the Army in October of '07. My son Chad and Ashley met on a double date roller skating. They dated. I think they had their ups and downs. Ashley kind of bounced back and forth between males and female partners. Chad and Ashley were never married. She was young, around 18 when she had GC, and just not ready to be in the role of mother.
She was retired from the U.S. Army, and she was working as a pizza delivery person for one of the bigger pizza franchise joints in the greater Akron, Ohio area. Wednesday, June 21st, 2012. The night's going to start off like a normal shift. It's going to be busy. There's plenty of orders coming in. The pizzas are hot. They get a call at 11:50 p.m. for a delivery in order to go out to a business address located on Turkey Foot Lake Road, with specific instructions for the driver to take the pizza around to the back of the business. This will be Ashley's last run of the night. With this late hour and little to no cars on the road, the late night crew expects Ashley to return rather quickly. She's not returned, and the crew is becoming concerned, and the manager is the one that places the call.
I was called in the evening by a supervisor. They had a missing female by the name of Ashley Biggs. She had delivered a pizza to a local business that was closed down. She did that, and then she never returned back to the pizza delivery.
Relatively quickly, the deputies are on scene. They're going to go where the delivery was scheduled for.
When we showed up at the original scene, there was evidence that there was a struggle there.
They don't find Ashley, they don't find her vehicle. What they do find is a large amount of blood on the pavement. They also find skid marks.
You could tell that somebody had been lifted up and put into a vehicle, and that vehicle driven away.
When you're arriving on scene, as an investigator, what you are seeing and what your experience is telling you is that something very personal happened here. The police find cash at the scene, so this will be an indicator to them that this wasn't some kind of botched robbery. This looks like we have a situation where it's personally motivated. Ashley was targeted. Everything that's taken place up to this point is deliberate and planned. Somebody wanted to hurt Ashley Biggs. They found her body inside of her car in a cornfield in Wayne County. When they arrive on the scene, an officer approaches the vehicle. He can see through the window that there is a female wearing a pizza franchise shirt.
She was laid down in the back seat, face up in her vehicle. She was zip tied from her legs all the way to the top of her arms.
There are some kind of taser wires coming off of this individual.
Ashley's blood was on the passenger side dashboard, which indicated somebody else was driving that vehicle, most likely. Told me someone obviously had to do this and drag her up into that car.
They tased her, beat her, and strangled her with the industrial zip cords, placed her in the back seat of her vehicle, using her own vehicle to transport the body. It was a very violent death.
I'll never forget that night. I was actually a third shift caregiver at a nursing facility, and a friend from our group called me to let me know that Ashley was missing. I think I probably paced a hole in my work floor, just trying to keep myself moving. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew that what we had always suspected had finally come to fruition. It is shocking. You never want to believe that the worst can happen until it does. Regardless of how much you prepare for something or how seated you think you are for it, when that hits, you're shell-shocked.
You're always going to look to somebody that they know, because that's often where they find the killer.
Ashley chose to live her life as a lesbian. He felt that it was sick. He made many threats.
Investigators on the scene quickly deduced that what happened in that darkened parking lot was deeply personal. It doesn't take long for them to come up with a prime suspect and get hot on his trail.
Police immediately identify at the ambush scene that this is probably a personally motivated attack, that somebody set this girl up.
From what information we learned about it from Ashley's friends, there was a pretty bad relationship between Chad Cobb and Ashley. That made us think that there was something wrong there, that, it could have been him. So that's why we kind of zeroed in on him first.
They learn that she's been in this contentious and costly custody battle with her ex-boyfriend, Chad Cobb.
Chad is a dad first and foremost. He loved his kids. Chad didn't date a whole lot. His main concern was raising GC. In the winter of 2007, he met Erica. Subsequently, they had 2 more children together. They did get married. Erica had once told me that she was jealous of Chad and GC's relationship. Erica knew this going into the relationship, that they had a nice bond, and she didn't like that bond.
Ashley did talk to me about the relationship between her and Chad, and it was very tumultuous. He, from the get-go, was not kind to her. He was physically, emotionally abusive. We saw her demise coming, and he made it very clear that if she ever tried to take their daughter from him, he would hunt her down. After their split, Ashley chose to live her life in the gay community as a lesbian. He didn't like that she was dating women, and he didn't like that there was the idea of having their daughter around that.
When Ashley did have visitation with GC, there were times Ashley would pick her up and there would be multiple females in the vehicle.
He felt that it was sick. He made many threats. He told her that she would never get their daughter, that she would be dead before she touched her, and that she didn't have the right to be a part of their daughter's life.
Chad had spent money on the attorney, wasn't really getting anywhere. It was just tearing the rest of the family apart.
It would appear to me that Chad Cobb was looking for a way for this custody dispute to end. He didn't want to spend any more money or time on this issue. Ashley Biggs, from what we can see coming out of the courts, she had to be afraid of Chad Cobb. She took out several restraining orders against him.
At one point, he put a GPS tracker supposedly on her car to try to track her whereabouts and things like that. So that kind of spiked us up to say, let's try to find him.
They find her vehicle, but it's also less than 3 miles from Chad Cobb's home. They find Chad Cobb out hiding in the woods, covered in blood. They catch him red-handed.
He was hiding behind his grandfather's garage. He had got out and wandered into the woods. He was wearing full camouflage gear, a hunting knife, had a taser. Duct tape strips were on his clothes, zip ties, everything he needed pretty much as an assault kit. I just don't think it was thought through well. And I think he panicked and left all that stuff lay there. And it kind of gave it to us on a silver platter at that point. We arrested Chad that day, kind of turned himself in. He didn't have anywhere to go.
It takes a little bit of time for Chad Cobb to confess to killing Ashley Biggs. He was not very cooperative following his arrest, but he's going to be indicted by a grand jury who is going to let him know that he's going to be facing the death penalty. And now he's willing to talk.
He ended up pleading and taking a plea to it. He confessed to the crime.
Most of the time when we are looking at a case where a man kills his wife, ex-wife, or ex-girlfriend, they make an arrest, he confesses to the murder, lock him up for life. That's the end of the story. Not here. Not in this case.
Investigation I didn't feel was complete because we didn't get the other person. Wholeheartedly we believe that there was a female involved and that somebody else helped him by making the phone call.
Chad Cobb is almost immediately arrested, pleads guilty, and is sentenced to life in prison for the violent murder of Ashley Biggs. But veteran police investigators strongly believe he didn't act alone. The problem for them is they don't have proof. And while Chad Cobb sits in prison year after year, he's still not talking.
When you talk about getting the whole story, even when we have a killer that confesses to an attack and a murder, you have seasoned detectives who have this nagging feeling that, you know what, we may have got our guy, but we don't have the whole complete story here. There's something else going on.
Investigation I didn't feel was complete because we didn't get the other person. Wholeheartedly we believe that there was a female involved. We were thinking definitely that somebody else helped him by making the phone call and most likely obviously driving him there because he couldn't have drove both cars out.
The person that placed the call for that pizza that night that ultimately sealed the fate of Ashley Biggs was a female voice on the phone. The call didn't come from Chad Cobb. Naturally, the detectives are going to suspect his wife, Erica Cobb.
When I came in contact with her at the house, first thing Erica said was she didn't want to talk to us. I don't know, an attorney. Most people, I would say, would be concerned a little for somebody who's missing. She had no emotions, didn't want to talk about it. So that kind of steered me to believe she was involved from the get-go.
A detective is going to want to know why, when they found Chad Cobb out running around hiding in the woods, why his wife and children are in an SUV that's hiding behind a garage on his grandparents' property. Why is his wife in such close proximity to him, the murder victim, and her vehicle and the ambush site?
There would be days where I would just go out and follow her to see where she would go to. She ended up going to one of her husband's best friend's houses.
Erica moves on very quickly. Chad Cobb, he's put away. Lock him up. He's going away for life. But Erica, very quickly, she has Christopher Michael Stefanko, Chad Cobb's best friend, move into the house with her and the kids.
She got really friendly with Chad's best friend. She was pregnant before Chad ever got sentenced.
Not too long after that, we have a divorce and we have Erica getting married. And at some point, it becomes difficult for Chad to see any of his kids. It seems like he had a lot of love for these kids, and losing them and not being able to see them was the final straw for Chad Cobb. Oh yeah, he was pissed.
Chad has always been there for his kids. He was allowed to by the courts to be able to see them. Erica chose not to and cut him out.
Chad ended up talking to us. He said that she had her part to do. He had his part to do.
He lets the detectives know, hey, my ex-wife, Erica, she was involved in this.
Chad Cobb told us that Erica was the one who made the phone call to order the pizza in that evening. She had just as much to do with it as he did, even though he is the one who physically killed her.
There was also a recording that was made by Chad Cobb's mother.
I put a recorder out. We talked for a few hours, and then she had stated that she made the phone call to deliver the pizza.
We have a perfect plan, but it didn't go the way it was supposed to go at all. You know, you can't really function in everyday life if you're looking over your shoulder every second. Every time I hear a siren, I think they're coming for me.
That's what got Erica Stefanko arrested. the proof that she made that phone call.
Erica Stefanko stands accused of luring a pizza delivery driver into a trap that ended her life.
Chad's mother, she had a recording that Erica confessed to making this phone call, and that helped us. It wasn't enough to give us what we wanted.
Do you think by being here that you're helping your dad get out of prison?
After years of taking the rap on his own and stewing in prison, Chad Cobb is fed up. He finally implicates his former wife, Erica Stefanko, in the killing of Ashley Biggs. She's charged with aggravated murder.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will proceed with opening statements. The state of Ohio does have the burden to prove each element in this case.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here today to hold this defendant, Erica Stefanko, accountable for what she did on June 21st, 2012. We are here to hold her responsible for the actions she chose to take that day. Whether you hold Erica Stefanko accountable as the principal actor or as an accomplice, all roads lead to the same place. Once you see the evidence and the testimony, all roads lead to Erica Stefanko being found guilty. This murder of Ashley Biggs could not have happened if Erica Stefanko and Chad Cobb did not work together. It was planned together and it was carried out together. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the state is confident once you hear the evidence, you will find Erica Stefanko, the defendant, guilty.
This case has its genesis in a custody battle. So Mr. Cobb develops in his own mind a plan. And that plan is, I know how I'm going to make sure I get custody. I'm going to eliminate the mother. She gets to that parking lot, and there only Chad Cobb. He then stands in front of a judge and admits that he beat and strangled and was guilty of aggravated murder of Ashley Biggs. He never mentions that he has an accessory. He never mentions Erica Stefanko's name. After 8 years now, he's stewing in that prison. He wants to get out of prison early. He wants his sentence shortened. Listen to every side of the story. And at the end, ladies and gentlemen, I'm convinced you will find that Erica Stefanko is not guilty. Thank you.
I am Dr. Lisa Kohler. I am the Chief Medical Examiner for the County of Summit. So the next slide is going to be evidence of the ligature strangulation. There is a photograph that shows the zip tie present around her neck.
So what is the significance of that?
There's been some deep trauma to the neck. She has injuries around where the ligature is, where there are some abrasions, which likely are her attempting to dig at the ligature itself and remove it. She does have injuries on the backs of her hands, which would be what we would classify as a defensive type wound, where somebody is trying to fend off another individual.
Were you able to determine which of the findings would have been inconsistent with life?
The ligature around her neck would be a lethal injury.
It's going to be very difficult for the defense to put together a good defense that's going to sway a jury the way they want to sway them. Because the jury is going to see a child on the stand.
We would call GC.
GC, if you don't mind, if you would raise your right hand.
GC actually had a lot of involvement in this matter. Her mother was murdered when she was just 7 years old, and her biological father and her stepmother are the two that were charged with the murder of her mother. Under Ohio law, GC meets the definition of victim.
We did not find out about the abuse that Erica was doing until after Chad was incarcerated. We tried to get GC into counseling early on, and that's actually where we found out about the abuse.
GC wanted to be heard. GC said, you know what? I want to testify in person. She wanted Erica Stefanko herself to hear, this is how I feel and this is what you did.
What types of things are we talking about that you're remembering?
She was mentally abusive and physically.
And how was she mentally abusive?
She would tell me that if I told my dad what she was doing to me, then she would do worse.
And you said physically, so what was the physical type of abuse?
I remember she would hold me on the ground and she would hit me. And then she also, before, made me eat dog feces.
Do you know why she made you eat dog feces?
Because she was jealous of my relationship with my father.
It took a lot of guts for that kid to get up and testify because she was standing in front of Erica.
Testimony from child victims in particular, it kind of cuts both ways. You'll have some jurors that will say, oh, this is a child, they're not fully developed, maybe their perceptions aren't clear, I don't know if they can remember everything correctly. Especially in this case with GC being 15 at the time of trial and 7 when the incident occurred.
Do you remember your mother's death?
I remember it happening, yes.
Okay. Do you remember that there was a custody battle over you?
I don't remember the custody battle.
Whenever I talk with any of my clients about testifying in a courtroom, I give a lot of the same advice. With GC, it was just to make sure whenever you're asked any questions, all you have to do is tell the truth. If the answer is I don't remember, if that's the truth, that's the answer.
You said you remember when she died. Do you have any recollections of that night?
Yes.
Do you have a memory of Erica making a phone call?
Yes.
Tell us about the phone call.
I can remember her, and I remember hearing it but not seeing it. And I know she ordered a pizza, and I can remember that she did not use her name.
Do you remember what name she did use?
No.
She was there when Erica placed the phony pizza order. She said, not only did my father kill my mother, but I was witness to some of the murder plot.
GC, I'm going to ask you a couple, I'll say, sensitive questions. Do you know why your dad is in prison?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because he did some not so nice things.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Because he did some not so nice things.
If a defense attorney seems to be a little overly aggressive with a victim while they're testifying, especially a child victim, my spidey senses are tingling, so to speak. I'm watching for it. You are not going to bully my client, and you are not going to go after this kid on the stand.
Is it your understanding that he did some not so nice things to your mother?
Yes.
Do you still love your dad?
Yes, I do.
Would you like to see him get out of prison soon?
Yeah, he's my dad.
This defense attorney did his job, but had enough respect for the situation and knowing that going after this kid is not going to help his client in any way.
Do you think by being here that you're helping your dad get out of prison?
No, this isn't his case.
I'm sorry, miss.
No, this isn't his case.
I don't think the fact that GC was a child testifying was the clincher in the whole thing. I think it was just one puzzle piece to help connect the dots of all the other evidence that the prosecution had.
Who does the state wish to call as its next witness?
Call Chad Cobb. Is it fair to say that Ashley did not leave that parking lot alive that night.
The defense claims that all of this is the result of a bitter Chad Cobb wanting revenge and retribution for his ex-wife, Erica, leaving him and moving on with her life. The prosecution calls Cobb himself to the stand via remote video from the prison where he is serving a life sentence. He tells his side of the story, but will the jury believe a convicted killer?
Who does the state wish to call as its next witness?
Call Chad Cobb.
Chad Cobb. He testified today from the correctional facility where he is located, spending the rest of his life. No possibility of parole. He was testifying via the internet.
After that conversation, did you stay there at the tree with Erica, or
Yes.
did one of you leave the tree?
Erica left and walked back over to the Lincoln.
So when she walked over to the Lincoln, what did she do?
She made a phone call.
What did you hear Erica say on that phone call?
I remember her saying somebody else's name, and I remember she ordered a pizza.
Where were you when Ashley got out of the car?
I remember I was somewhere on the other side of the parking lot. I was approaching and made myself known.
And how did Ashley respond when she saw you there?
Worked up.
At the end of the day, there are three people that know what happened. Chad Cobb knows what happened. Erica Stefanko knows if she was involved or not. And the third person is not here to tell us her side of the story.
Is it fair to say that Ashley did not leave that parking lot alive that night?
Yes, sir, that is accurate. If I would have cooperated with the state and gave them the information that they sought, I don't know what would happen to Erica, because I can't understand why she was able to walk out of the police station the same day that we both were put in there. I mean, I got hauled off to jail and she walked right back into the home of everybody and everything that I love.
What stays with me about this case is the uncertainty. Is Chad Cobb simply upset and angry that his ex-wife moved on with her life and he's stuck behind bars for the rest of his? Does he start bringing all this stuff up then for that reason and that reason only?
Is it fair to say that you and your family still hold out hope of you getting out of prison?
I would say it's fair to say that.
Is it fair to say that your mother, Cindy Cobb, also holds that hope?
Yes, sir.
Chad's mother came to us years after we arrested Chad. In 2018, it was brought to our attention that she had a recording that Erica confessed to making this phone call and having knowledge of the details and things that nobody else would know about the homicide.
Cindy Cobb holds on to this recording for a couple of years. Chad Cobb sits in prison behind bars, knowing all this time that his ex-wife, who's taken up with his best friend, was involved in this murder as well. But nobody says anything.
Attorney O'Brien, how would you like to proceed?
Judge, at this point in time, we have Christopher Michael Stefanko here. What kind of mother is Erica Stefanko?
An amazing, loving, and extremely caring mother.
Did Chad ever threaten Ashley?
He made a comment that when it was all said and done, that he wanted to keep her skull as a trophy.
Chad started slowly with the abuse, whether it was tearing her down or, he'd strike her and then apologize. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I was angry. From the time I met her, she spoke of her fear of him.
The early morning hours of June 21st, 2012. Did you have any contact with Chad Cobb?
I spoke with him on the phone.
Between what hours?
I believe 3 and 5 in the morning. The sun wasn't even up yet.
Do you remember what Chad said to you?
The very first thing out of his mouth was, I up.
Attorney LaPrenzi, who do you wish to call?
We call Cindy Cobb.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony or statement you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I testified about the phone call, which GC stated all along, and it's in her counseling records, that she overheard Erica make the phone call.
You made a recording.
Yes, sir.
Who was there when you made that recording?
Just Erica and I.
Where was the recording made?
In our barn.
You told me that you made the phone call and you set the meeting up. Chad said this is what we're going to do, and this is your part of it, and you did exactly what you do. If everything had been told exactly as it happened, then we won't be impressed right now.
She's admitting that if everybody would have seen everything the way it went, they would both be in prison. That was one of her quotes, I believe, inside this tape.
How could she know that if she didn't know the plan? Do you know?
I do not know the answer to that. Erica walked out of the police station, I am told by the prosecutor, without even giving a statement. I'm thinking she's the mastermind.
This is the only way the situation is going to go away. I didn't know that at the time, but he really felt pressured by me to do something about it. Has a chance at life.
So then she tells you after that, now GC has a chance at a life.
Correct.
All this in the context of your son getting ready to give up his rights.
Yes.
And she's explaining to you how she wasn't going to let him do that.
Yes.
Do I feel bad about what happened to her? Even the moments that she went through before her life ended? Not really. And I always threw the ball back in his court. You know what you can do and what you can't. If this is something that you think you can do, then I'm okay with it and I agree with it.
Attorney O'Brien, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Now, Chad is your only child. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Correct.
If Chad went to trial and lost, a jury could have recommended the death penalty.
Yes, sir.
Now, Chad pled guilty and he was sent to prison. Soon after he went to prison, he filed an appeal. Even though he just, to save his life, he pled guilty.
Yes, sir.
This case had its genesis in a fierce custody battle. Would you not agree?
Yes. Chad wanted to go to trial, wanted to tell the story, didn't want to see this happening to another family, but he was also told at that time that his trial had to be closed by a year's anniversary date. If it was not, all of the children would all be placed up for adoption and none of us would ever see them again.
So at one point in time, he takes responsibility for the murder of Ashley Biggs. And then a short time after he goes to prison, he changes his mind.
I can't speak for his actions.
Is it safe to say that you don't like Erica Stefanko?
After what's transpired, that'd be fair.
Right.
As much as you were trying to be supportive of me for him, you didn't say it, but I felt like in the back of your head you still want me blaming me for it. Which, I mean, it's not unreasonable, but it still didn't put me in a comfortable spot to be here.
You're hoping some way, somehow, to get Chad out of prison. Is that correct?
I would hope to one day.
You're still willing to do just about anything legal to help get him out of prison, or at least get his sentence reduced. Is that a fair thing to say?
I think any parent would do that.
Going through the trial with Erica Stefanko, hearing the facts, seeing the photos, there was a lot we had never seen, and there were things that we hadn't heard. It was like losing Ashley all over again. it was that gripping feeling of she's really gone. Oh, sorry.
It's my understanding that the jury has reached a verdict.
Nine years after Ashley Biggs' brutal murder and Chad Cobb's conviction, a jury is now poised to decide whether Erica Stefanko played a role in the crime or if, as the defense claims, she's yet another victim of Chad Cobb's vengeance.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard all of the testimony and evidence. We are now in a place where we will proceed with closing arguments. So at this time, counsel will be prepared to proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here to hold Erica Stefanko accountable for the actions she chose to take on June 20th through June 21st, 2012. Now, whether you all hold her responsible as the principal or as the accomplice, it all leads to the same place. All roads lead to Erica Stefanko being guilty of the crimes charged in the indictment. Chad Cobb could not have committed the murder of Ashley Biggs by himself. She drove Chad to the crime scene. She knew why it was going to happen. It was that custody battle. It was retaliation. She made the call that lured Ashley Biggs to her death. She followed Chad to the cornfield. She waited at that cornfield for him to dump Ashley's body and the car. Went back to the initial crime scene with him to clean up the evidence, and hid with Chad at his grandparents' house where they actually were caught by the police. She committed this murder with Chad Cobb. She was there with him every step of the way. From the beginning, the planning. From the middle, the execution. And the end, the potential cover-up. The state is confident that you will find the defendant, Erica Stefanko, guilty of all the crimes charged in the indictment. Thank you very much.
Attorney O'Brien?
Correct, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the Supreme Court justices of the United States said many years ago that cross-examination was the greatest determiner of the truth that we have in our judicial system. What you heard early on in the cross-examination of Chad Cobb speaks volumes. When Chad Cobb was asked, did you and Erica plan to kill Ashley Biggs? And what was his answer? One word, no. He didn't hesitate. He said no. This is the state's witness. Now, I'm not going to pick on a 15-year-old, but let's talk a little bit about GC right now. When this incident happened, she's 7 years old. 8 years later, comes into this courtroom and describes with unusual detail about this phone call.
Yeah, go ahead and come around.
Yet, she tells us she was asleep the rest of the time. I would submit, ladies and gentlemen, that children of any age group are susceptible to influence. I submit to you that Erica Stefanko is a scapegoat of Chad Cobb. He wants to use her to get out of prison. What's his motive? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't thought of it by now, it's real simple. It's revenge.
It's my understanding that the jury has reached a verdict. Regarding count 15, the jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, guilty of the offense of aggravated murder.
The jury says that Erica Stefanko is guilty, that she was involved in this premeditated murder that resulted in Ashley Bigg's death.
Ms. Stefanko, the jury has found you guilty of the charges as articulated on the record.
The two responsible parties are in prison. Sure, Chad Cobb can be a loving father. How much do you love your daughter when you kill her mother? That's where those two bypassed everybody else. They didn't care about all or any of these other people. They wanted things their way. And when they couldn't have it their way, they were willing to do anything they could to change that.
It's a terrible crime anytime somebody loses their life. Chad does deserve to do time for his part in the crime. But also when you look at other incidences where people have lost their lives and what has been done, for him to get life without parole, I think is harsh.
When cases like this, I say nobody ever wins. The dad's in prison for life. Mom's going there for 30 years. The children are with different parents now, grandparents, but they never get to grow up with their own biological parents now because of the decisions they made. So I don't think that's fair to the kids. You know, that kind of sticks with you.
GC asked that I share this for her part of her story. Through everything I've chosen, the path that is right for me, and I have let the people in my life that I know want to be in my life and benefit my future. Anyone that I choose to have in my life will be by my own choosing. I've gone through tragedy and survived to be a strong young person that does my own fact-finding to make my own decisions and has the strength and knowledge to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I feel safe after experiencing the outcome of Erica's sentencing, knowing that the world will be one person safer for at least a few decades. My father and I both know the tragedy she has caused, and there's still a lot to be told.
I would like for her daughter to know that Ashley loved her very much. In fact, Ashley died fighting to be with her. She lost her life because she loved her daughter so much. If you are being abused, there is help. No matter how many times that person threatens you and tells you that no one will be there for you, there are people who will be, and please reach out. Don't stay silent, because those who remain silent are those who lose their lives.
Erica Stefanko was sentenced to life in prison. She is appealing her conviction. Chad Cobb will remain behind bars for the rest of his life. Some of Ashley's friends now work to keep her legacy alive by providing help for those suffering from domestic violence. If you're a victim of abuse, we urge you to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's completely confidential, and they can help you find a way to safety. I'm Tamron Hall. Thank you for watching Someone They Knew.
The sheriff's department into a personal chauffeuring, Happy Meal fetching, bribe infested, scandal ridden organization that crushed the pride and the morale of the good men and women who worked there.
People thought he was crazy, was arrogant, self-assured. He was a little bit of a thorn in the side. He was a renegade.
It was the first political assassination in this country in 20 years.
It was just incredibly obvious, but there was absolutely zero evidence. I just can't even begin to describe how shocking the allegation was.
You are the lowest scumbag of the earth.
In DeKalb County, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, one thing was certain when it came to the sheriff's office: a history of trouble. For decades, several sheriffs have been charged with crimes ranging from theft and bribe-taking to perjury and mail fraud. In 1996, there was a new sheriff in town, and change was on the horizon.
In DeKalb County in metro Atlanta, you're talking about 500, 600,000 plus people. So there's a big tax base. There's a lot of federal involvement. You've got federal inmates that are being held. You've got contracts with INS. You've got contracts for medical services at the jail, food services at the jail, janitorial services, security services, bonding services, all this stuff that comes out of the sheriff's office. The sheriff alone gets to make the determination.
Sidney Dorsey was a former Atlanta homicide detective who had become legend because of his involvement with the murdered and missing children case. What most people don't recall is that he spent his fortune trying to become sheriff because it was his dream, and he failed over and over again, and people thought he was crazy because they didn't think he had a chance of ever being elected sheriff in a predominantly white county. But as demographics started changing in DeKalb County, he became electable. And when he was elected, it stunned everybody.
The sheriff's office in DeKalb County for years had seen corruption. I think the last 2 or 3 sheriffs before him had pled guilty and been indicted for different types of theft and corruption. So that was the reputation of the sheriff's office before Sidney Dorsey got there. And he sort of took it and ran with it.
Sidney Dorsey was arrogant, he was self-assured, he was charismatic, he was a ladies' man, he certainly saw himself as a ladies' man.
I wouldn't say that he changed dramatically until later on when he was sheriff. He wasn't the warm, huggy, kissy cousin I used to have.
The district attorney's office, we really did not know what was going on. It was investigative reporting to Dale Cardwell that enlightened not only my office, but the general public as well.
This all started when I was at a Dairy Queen, and a gentleman came up behind me in line and said, "Are you Dale Cardwell from Channel 2?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got an unbelievable story, but I don't think you've got the courage to tell it." And I said, "Try me." The next day he called me and he said, "The sheriff of DeKalb County is using deputies that are on duty to staff his private security jobs all over metro Atlanta. He's been doing it for years, and no one will stop him. Everyone's afraid of him." And I was naive enough and aggressive enough to tell the story.
It was the first time any of us had heard about some of the shenanigans that were going on in there, such as using inmates to perform labor in Sheriff Dorsey's wife's political district. Those things came out because of investigative reporting, nothing that any of us were doing.
We don't want to have to work 3 and 4 part-time jobs, come to work tired, and hardly ever have to make an appointment to see our wives and children.
Derwin Brown was a longtime detective at the DeKalb County Police Department, very well liked. He was a family man. He and his wife were rocks in the community.
The people that worked with him loved him. Probably from the management side, he was a little bit of the thorn in the side because he had made noise about unions and organizing and labor.
The race happened in 2000. Derwin Brown was a long shot. He, like Sidney Dorsey, had run for sheriff, and no one believed that he could defeat Sidney Dorsey, in much the same way no one thought Sidney Dorsey would ever be elected sheriff. But now, Sidney Dorsey is the sheriff, and it's thought of as a joke that Derwin Brown is challenging him. But Derwin Brown is running on a platform of law and order and end the corruption. So he was one of the very few people in metro Atlanta that would stand up and say Sidney Dorsey is corrupt and he's engaging in corruption and this has to stop.
If someone had asked me to bet on who was going to win that race, I would have put my life savings on Dorsey. And Dorsey almost won outright. 300 votes made the difference, forcing Dorsey into a runoff. It was a 3-week runoff. Dale was having more stories and more stories come out, and I really think people for the first time started paying attention that there was a real race for DeKalb County Sheriff.
At that point, it became like pulling a thread. The stories of the sheriff using on-duty deputies to take his child to Disney World.
It was probably the last 2 stories that Dale Cardwell released, with the inmates being let go and working in the yards. And there was also a sexual harassment story that came out. And so the tide in those 21 days turned completely from Dorsey to Derwin, and Derwin won handedly in the runoff.
They said, "Mr. Cardwell?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You need to gather up some clothes, get your wife and kids, and we need to put you in protective custody."
During Derwin Brown was not expected to win the DeKalb County Sheriff's race. The election was close, but the ensuing runoff with Sidney Dorsey was not. Newly elected Derwin Brown was ready to make the changes he'd promised during his campaign.
Sidney Dorsey was the first African-American sheriff in DeKalb County, and he missed that opportunity. He chose to line his own pockets. Derwin Brown played the game and won. He outsmarted him. He won the game. The job was his. The voters had spoken.
It was a very brief, bright, shining moment in Atlanta where you had the African American community rise up and say, we not only want a leader that looks like us, we want a leader that's clean and is going to do the right thing.
Derwin had said that once he took office, we would sit down, and our plan was that let him be sworn in. The old sheriff is gone, and 22 people were going to be without a job, but that would give more people the security to come to us and start talking.
On December 15th of 2000, Derwin Brown had graduated from the Sheriff's Academy. It was his wife's birthday, and he had stopped and I think gotten his wife some flowers and maybe a birthday present. He was due to be sworn in, I think that Monday. And so they were having a party at a bar restaurant not far from his house called MVP's. And I think it was around 10:30, 11 o'clock, he decided to go home where his wife and his son and some other family members had already returned to. It was raining very heavily that night. He pulled up to his house.
He gets out of his car like he's done 1,000 times before, walks down his driveway, and suddenly is confronted with a Tech 9 weapon. And he just starts shooting him.
This shooter had the Intratec 9 with a magazine that holds 16 rounds. I believe shot all 16. Derwin was shot 3 times in the back, one piercing his heart, another the spleen, lung. Those 3 shots took him down, and then the shooter stood over him and emptied the rest of it.
His family reported they thought were firecrackers, and I think it was his son who realized they were gunshots, and everybody got down on the floor. And after a hail of gunfire, they went outside and they found him. Of course, they called 911 and got police and paramedics, and they transported him to the hospital, but he didn't survive very long.
My wife and I are in bed. My phone rings, and it's the DeKalb County Police. And the gentleman says, Dale, this is Sergeant Stewart. Are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. Why? He said, could you please come to your front door? And there were a half dozen police officers standing in my doorway. And they said, Mr. Cardwell? I said, yeah. He said, Sheriff-elect of DeKalb County, Derwin Brown, was shot and killed a little while ago, murdered in his driveway. We expected to find you dead as well. You need to gather up some clothes, get your wife and kids, and we need to put you in protective custody.
It wasn't a robbery. It was something that seemed like it was planned and orchestrated.
Most people are killed by someone they know, and usually it's an intimate partner. And then you draw a circle a little bit further.
I was a major in the DeKalb County Police Department. I was selected following the murder of Derwin Brown to head up a multi-agency task force, special to investigate and hopefully solve the case. DeKalb had major high-profile cases before. Obviously, this was a high-profile case. One agency somewhere described it as the first political assassination in this country in 20 years.
We had a couple lead-ins, a couple theories, a couple directions that we could go down as we started looking at this. One, clearly there was some tension with the sheriff's office. It had been a very, very unpleasant runoff campaign. That couldn't have gone down easily for Sidney Dorsey.
Sidney Dorsey as a possible suspect? Sure, but is he the kind of person? He was a veteran homicide detective. I don't think he's going to make too many mistakes if he's involved in it. Personally, I don't know that he would even be up to doing it.
They put him in a jail cell and they sweat him. And he sits there for weeks and he has a change of attitude.
A few days before he was to be sworn in as the new sheriff of DeKalb County, Georgia, Derwin Brown was assassinated just steps from his front door. Police found no concrete leads at the site of the murder, but one thing was clear. TV news stories about the outgoing sheriff, Sidney Dorsey, and documented corruption in his office were raising suspicions.
Derwin Brown was murdered literally days before he would have taken the oath to become sheriff. It was so obvious to anyone observing news and politics at that time that if Derwin Brown is dead, the person that would be responsible for it is Sidney Dorsey. But there was absolutely zero evidence. Derwin Brown shot and killed 12 times in his driveway. There's no weapon. There's no footprints because it's a miserable rainy night. It appears as though the perpetrators have gotten away with it scot-free. There's nothing physical tying the perpetrators to the scene.
Well, when I heard the news about the murder, it was like everybody else, pride shot. But I never one time thought that it was anything to do with Sidney.
And I remember the first meeting we had with Captain Rodney Maddox, who was in charge of the criminal investigation team, and he said, guys, I know there are a bunch of different theories about what may be going on, but he said, we've got to let the evidence drive this case.
The transition between the outgoing sheriff and Derwin Brown had already begun. The transition team had identified about 40 people that they thought they were not going to employ, and it actually sent them letters.
Prior to Derwin Brown taking office, he actually did an interview with me. It was the only time I ever met Derwin Brown, and the purpose of the interview was to explain why he was letting go 37 Sheriff's Department employees. And his promoters and his supporters said, don't do that. Don't do that. You just need to let them go when you become sheriff. And he says, no, it's not right. It's not the right thing to do. I want to give them a heads up. And that created motive among the people that knew they were going to lose their jobs because they really hadn't earned their jobs through traditional law enforcement channels.
There was also something back in the summer. Derwin had mentioned to some people at police headquarters that while he was out campaigning, they thought they were being followed. And they confronted the person. And it turned out it was an individual that worked for the Sheriff's Department named Patrick Cuffey. Well, he passed it off as just, some kind of a chance encounter. I wasn't following you and that sort of thing.
I said, you need to get a surveillance team immediately on a deputy named Patrick Cuffey.
Cuffey had been on the list of people to be fired by Derwin Brown.
The detective went to the location, set up one, and it was a few hours later that he noticed two figures come out and get into a car.
They followed them to the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department jail, where they circled the jail twice and then got back on the expressway. I said, well, what happened after that? He said, well, our team backed off because they thought Cuffey must have known he was being followed and he was going home. Had they stayed on Cuffey that night, the crime would have been solved that night.
The main thing that broke the case wide open was a shootout that took place at Patrick Cuffey's house.
Cuffey by then had been discharged from the Sheriff's Department. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And they heard gunshots, and some peeked out and saw all these cars and people running around shooting and fighting.
Patrick Cuffey had been involved in a drug deal, and Patrick Cuffey had hidden some evidence, and so now he was looking at some significant time.
So when he was subsequently arrested, and the deal that led to Cuffey's own confession and the subsequent confession of Paul Skyers in the deal, that was all brokered by J. Tom Morgan in the district attorney's office.
They sweat him. They bring Cuffey in, they put him in a jail cell, and they sweat him. It's just as old-fashioned as it sounds. He doesn't like being in jail, and he sits there for weeks, and he has a change of attitude.
He would tell us everything about the murder of Derwin Brown in exchange for immunity from prosecution. And I remember just kind of my eyes bulging out of my head. Well, you needed a driver. That was Paul Skyers. Melvin Walker was the trigger man. Ramsey and Cuffey were arguably best friends, so I think they were kind of in it together. This wasn't a group of former Navy SEALs or anything. These were two guys who couldn't get hired by the sheriff. One guy who was basically the sheriff's right-hand man, and one guy that had some basic law enforcement training.
They were able to establish who the actual shooters were. The shooters, eventually confessed. The four assassins who went out there together, and had circumstantial evidence that Sidney Dorsey had hired him.
Charging 3 people with the murder of Sheriff-elect Derwin Brown. Those persons being charged are former Sheriff Sidney Dorsey, Melvin Walker, and David Isaiah Ramsey.
Sidney Dorsey actually turned himself in. I think they called his attorney. He turned himself in that night, but arrested Melvin Walker and David Ramsey and charged them with murder, and that started the prosecution train.
DeKalb County certainly has its share of violent crime, but killing the chief law enforcement officer, I mean, that's like killing the head of the FBI in the nation. I mean, how does that happen? I just can't even begin to describe how shocking the allegation was.
He's been in the police force. How could somebody make that kind of order and not think it would trace back to him?
With Patrick Cuffey and Paul Skyers flipping for immunity deals, Sidney Dorsey was charged with the murder of Derwin Brown. Melvin Walker, the trigger man, and David Ramsey were cleared of all charges at their first trial, but at a later federal trial, they both received life in prison for their roles in the assassination. It was now Sidney Dorsey's turn in court.
There's lots of crime in DeKalb County. I don't necessarily read the newspaper every day. I don't know about every case. Everybody knew the Sidney Dorsey case. Everybody. Which meant if we were going to pick a jury, the question wasn't going to be, do you know about the facts of this case? Can you come in with an open mind? It's going to be, what have you decided already? In Dougherty County, many of the jurors didn't know anything about the case. I mean, Dougherty County is, 200 miles from Atlanta. So we moved to Albany.
Let the record now reflect that the defendant is present in the courtroom.
Throughout most of this trial, most of the proceedings, the preliminary hearings, the bond hearings, all that stuff, he seemed pretty defiant. He seemed pretty sure of himself. He wasn't broken by the allegations.
The attorneys now have an opportunity to make opening statements. Mr. Hodges for the state.
I knew we could not convict Dorsey solely on Cuffey's testimony or the hitman, and Skyers told us the same story. He also told us where the gun was. So then I called Phyllis Brown. She was very frustrated, understandably so, that the case was completely cold until Cuffey flipped. She said, I will agree to the immunity if Cuffey is not the planner and instigator and he was not the trigger man. I said, well, I've got to believe that he's telling us the truth. Otherwise, we can't go forward. And she said, then let's make the deal and go after the people responsible for my husband's death.
Power. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about power. Power of the man so consumed by power that he could not and would not let it go. A man so corrupted by power that he used the office to which he was elected, Sheriff of DeKalb County, for his own personal use. A man so consumed by power that when a man announced he was going to run against him and reform the sheriff's office, and when that man won, he devised a plan to assassinate him so he could take the office back.
We did not believe he did it. We wanted to be there to show our support and that we were in his corner. And it was almost like it was an expectation for us to push him away, that he had done this horrible thing and the family was not supposed to be supportive of him. But we didn't believe he had done it.
At the defendant, Sidney Dorsey's direction, 4 men, Patrick Cuffey, Paul Skyers, David Ramsey, and Melvin Walker, 4 men at the bottom of this chart, they carried out the defendant's order, assassinated Derwin Brown. A decorated police officer, loving family man, intent on cleaning up the corruption in DeKalb County. Sidney Dorsey did this because he could not stand to lose his power.
He beat me in the election, so I killed him. I guess that's some kind of a motive. But then the case just grew, unimaginably into this RICO case.
Sidney Dorsey stands before you charged with the most serious crimes in the state of Georgia. Murder of a sheriff-elect. Racketeering, like the mafia. Bribery, violation of oath of office, and thefts.
It seemed to me, and still to this day, frankly, seemed to me it's a good, clean murder case. Either he did it or he didn't. And what J. Tom Morgan did to his, supposed to his strategic credit, was he combined it with all of the misuse of power.
Sidney is not guilty.
My strategy was to divide the trial into 2 parts, corruption and murder. And we would try the corruption trial first, close that evidence, and then move on to the murder. I was hoping by the time we finished the corruption that the jury would be disgusted at Sidney Dorsey.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Heimlich, whether or not you ever were ordered to transport Sidra Dorsey, the daughter of Sid Dorsey, back and forth from DeKalb County to or from Chattanooga, sir?
Yes, I was.
When you were employed by the sheriff of DeKalb County between 1996 and 2000, who was in Sidney Dorsey, did you ever have the occasion to drive any of his family members outside of the state of Georgia?
That's correct.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that, please?
Okay, I received
most law enforcement officials, especially in the sheriff's department, knew that Sid Dorsey was misusing these on-duty deputies, but no one would do anything about it.
You're not going to tell your boss that I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. So we did it. You know, it's just one of those things. If you don't, then you're probably not going to be employed there very long.
I wasn't at all surprised because I had learned so much about the way he'd run that jail that just seemed like the next step. I mean, he ran that place like it was his own lemonade stand, and he had no compunction about doing anything, no matter how outrageous, to save money or to get some cash for himself.
Did you ever have occasion, sir, to work at a bank as a security guard while you were on duty at the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, I have.
How did this come about? How did you know to do this the first time?
The first time the sheriff came and asked me to do him a favor.
So the deputies being paid by the taxpayers and Dorsey's being paid by the bank through his private security company for basically free labor, which is, you know, a nice deal if you can get it, but happens to be illegal.
Next witness.
State called Shirley Recycle.
So they made it a RICO case and got everything, including the kitchen sink, you know, into this one trial. I think it was a terrible abuse of the RICO statute. It wasn't what RICO was designed to do, in my opinion. And it perverted the whole trial, I thought.
I was in my office and I got a phone call, and it was from the sheriff's department, and they were saying that that Sheriff Dorsey had requested to see me. We went to this deserted house. Then he just kind of like, you know, started getting all over me. He violated me as a female.
This was a perfect case of murder to try. Either he did it or he didn't, and that's what I think he was entitled to. But instead we're hearing that Sidney Dorsey also had non-consensual sex with a bondswoman. What is that doing in a murder trial?
He knew my whole family worked for me, so he knew how bad I wanted that, how bad I was proud of my bonding company, so he knew all that. He knew all that.
What we learned was that she was expected to trade sexual favors to Sid Dorsey to not only get the license, but to keep the license.
So the result, you know, by the end of the trial is you had to hate Sidney Dorsey.
I decided that, well, why don't we pull straws to see who's going to be the shooter.
I knew we were going to have credibility problems with Patrick Cuffey because I hated him as much as anyone else did.
Sidney Dorsey was charged with the murder of Derwin Brown and 14 other counts that included 2 RICO charges, 1 bribery charge, 1 violation of his oath of office, and 9 charges of theft by taking. It was time to hear from the sheriff's deputy who once considered Sidney Dorsey a father figure, but who was now a key witness for the prosecution.
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give this court and jury on the issue pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Take your hand down and state your name, please, sir.
Patrick Cuffey.
Sidney Dorsey collected a group of misfits, young men who wanted to be law enforcement officers, who didn't really have the background that would have led them down that path other than seeing it on television and wanting to carry a gun and drive a car.
Did you consider him to be a father figure?
Yes, sir.
Did you consider yourself to be that close to Sidney Dorsey?
Yes, sir.
When Sid Dorsey decided that he wanted Derwin Brown to be killed, he chose the person in his organization that he believed would do it, and that was Patrick Cuffey. Patrick Cuffey worshipped Sidney Dorsey. He was his role model.
He introduced me as his son.
And Sid Dorsey knew that Patrick Cuffey would do anything the sheriff wanted him to do. So he called him to his house one day, and he said, "I've got a job for you."
Did you go on your own to Sidney Dorsey's house?
I went alone as he requested.
Did you in fact have a conversation with Mr. Dorsey at this time, sir?
Yes, sir.
Describe that for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please.
While I was on the patio, he handed me a paper that was folded. And when I opened it, it said, "Kill Derwin Brown." I asked him, "Why?"
Did he respond?
Yes, sir.
What did he say?
He said that Derwin was gonna kill him.
What happened to that note?
Mr. Dorsey put it in his mouth and started chewing on it to dispose of it.
You know, Dorsey's a homicide detective. He knows what leaves evidence and what doesn't leave evidence. And he told him initially he wanted him strangled so as to not leave forensic evidence, not leave shell casings, not have a murder weapon.
Was David Ramsey involved in the murder?
Yes, sir.
Was Paul Skyers involved in the murder?
Yes, sir.
Did Melvin Walker agree to participate?
Yes, sir.
Was he involved in the murder?
Yes, sir.
Were you, Mr. Cuffey, were you involved in the murder?
Yes, sir.
Patrick Cuffey was from the Caribbean, and he is befriended by a guy named David June Ramsey, who's also from the Caribbean. And then Patrick Cuffey and David Ramsey are going to get Paul Skyers, another friend, a job in law enforcement. And then, hey, why don't we get Melvin Walker a job in law enforcement? So when the decision was made to murder Derwin Brown, these 4 Keystone cops were given carte blanche to do it.
Was a decision made as to who was actually going to be the shooter?
Yes, sir.
And who was going to be the actual shooter, sir?
I decided at my home one evening that, well, why don't we pull straws to see who's going to be the shooter.
I knew we were going to have credibility problems with Patrick Cuffey because I hated him as much as anyone else did. From the day I met him in my office before the murder took place to the time when he's describing in monotone about the assassination of an elected official like you and I are talking about what are we going to have for breakfast in the morning.
Who shot and killed Derwin Brown?
Melvin Walker.
At whose request was Derwin Brown killed for?
At the request of Sidney Dorsey.
The man who sits right here?
Yes, sir.
Sidney Dorsey.
Yes.
Your witness.
Patrick Cuffey had a lot of baggage, obviously. He was the actual, one of the assassins, with a group of 4 assassins who went there that night and killed Derwin Brown. Needless to say, we had to deal with that. Prosecution says, why is the chief law enforcement officer hanging around with these people? Right? Why are they his employees?
The pressure was on us, and that's what fed up means. That we was under pressure. And
the 4 hitmen, Patrick Cuffey, Melvin Walker, David Ramsey, and Paul Skyers, had been rehearsing for weeks for this assassination. Dorsey ordered them to do it that night, that they couldn't wait any longer because Sheriff-elect Derwin Brown was about to be sheriff. So they knew they had to do it that night.
And under pressure because it wasn't our want. We didn't want this, but we promised we'll take care of it, and that's where the pressure came.
Have you ever been charged with the murder of Derwin Brown?
No, sir.
Did you receive immunity as a result of your cooperation with the state of Georgia in regard to the charges against Derwin Brown?
Yes, sir.
Did anyone from the district attorney's office or any law enforcement agency tell you that you had to finger Sidney Dorsey?
No, sir.
The fact is, who in the world would benefit from this stuff other than Sidney Dorsey? He had the only chance, and it was a slim chance, that he could get himself appointed the interim sheriff and then get an opportunity to rally his forces and run again and win again. The other individuals, as it all became clear as the case unfolded, he was going to pay him with favors.
Describe the circumstances or the situation the evening of December the 15th of the year 2000.
From my position, I can see Derwin getting out his car, closes his door and he's slowly running in his driveway. And at that time, I can hear the rapid gunfire. And at that point, I then got up from my position and I started running towards where the shots were fired.
Did you fire any shots yourself that evening?
No, sir.
Did David Ramsey ever fire any shots that evening?
No, sir.
Did anyone other than Melvin Walker fire shots on that evening?
No, sir.
There was inconsistencies between Cuffey's description of the actual shooting, where people were standing.
Can you explain how shell casings are found all along the right side of both vehicles of State's Exhibit number 8? Do you know how shell casings get kicked out of a gun?
My colleague Brian Steele was actually cross-examining him and saying, the shots don't mirror what, in fact, you described as being the scene of the shooting.
Counselor, all I can testify to what I've told you is that what I saw him get out the car, I saw when he fell, I heard the gunshot, I know where the shooter is, I know where Ramsey is, and I know where I'm supposed to be. That's all I can testify. I can testify that I was in this car waiting. That's all I can tell. All these other stuff I don't know anything about.
So you dirty him up, but in the end, he is the assassin.
Your mission was to get away with the murder of Derwin Brown without being sentenced properly for your crime, right?
My mission was to follow through as requested by Sidney Dorsey.
And your mission was to never be held responsible for the assassination of our Derwin Brown, right?
I'm sorry?
Your mission, your agenda, everything you did was so you would not be held accountable for your involvement with the murder of Derwin Brown, right?
Everything I did when?
Lies to the police. The lies to the media.
Everything I've said then was to cover myself and the people involved.
And you got away with it, didn't you?
No, I did not. I am here telling you about it.
Understand, you are the lowest scumbag of the earth.
After 2 weeks, the state was about to rest their case, and it seemed unlikely that the defense would call any witnesses. Patrick Cuffey and Paul Skyers both admitted to being involved in the planning and assassination of Derwin Brown. But would their testimony be enough to convince the jury to put Sidney Dorsey behind bars for the rest of his life?
State your name, please.
It's Gerald Thomas Gowett, G-O-W-I-T-T.
I was hoping by the time we finished the corruption part of the trial with Shirley McMichael and all the other witnesses that the jury would be disgusted at Sidney Dorsey. So then we moved on to the murder case.
Did you make a determination during the course of the autopsy as to how many gunshot wounds would have been inflicted upon Mr. Brown?
The wounds that actually struck his body and hit his person totaled 12 in number.
How long would you have expected Derwin Brown to have survived the onslaught that he suffered back in the evening of December the 15th of the year 2000, sir?
I think probably within about 30 seconds to a minute, and I'm probably being very generous here.
Now the jury could see a motive. He was a narcissistic man who had lost his election, and he would do anything possible to get that job back, including murder.
Mrs. Brown, are you the widow of the late Sheriff-elect Derwin Brown?
Yes, I am.
I became very, very close to Phyllis Brown, and my heart ached for her. This is a wonderful woman, wonderful mother, and it killed her, and literally killed her.
Where were y'all waiting for Mr. Brown to get home?
All of us were in the den.
What happened next?
We were sitting around and we were just talking, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded, at first I thought it was firecrackers. When I called 911, my first call was, there's shooting next door to my house. I'm still thinking it's next door. And I remember I was still on the phone, And when I walked out the door, I looked to my left on the ground, and Derwin was lying there. And I remembered I was still on the phone with the police, and I told them, I said, Captain Brown has been shot. I knelt down, and when I looked in his eyes, I knew he was gone.
Your Honor, on behalf of the people, the state rests.
If that's the state's case, Your Honor, then we rest.
All right, gentlemen, you ready to proceed?
Ready for the state, Your Honor.
All right. Ready for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Petrie?
Sidney Dorsey had the opportunity to be a sheriff that DeKalb County could be proud of, but instead, he turned the sheriff's department into a personal chauffeuring, babysitting, Lexus, Mercedes, and limousine repairing, go-kart toting, door unlocking, Happy Meal fetching, bribe-infested, scandal-ridden organization that crushed the pride and the morale of the good men and women who work there. Don't let them steal the truth from Derwin Brown and the good and the hope that he brought to DeKalb County.
Your job here today, members of the jury, is not to deliberate about questions of morality. Your job is not to deliberate about questions of judgment. You are here to answer a question of law, which is whether the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt.
But Sidney Dorsey wasn't at the Brown home on December 15th, 2000. Cuffey and Skyers used this tool to take the life of Derwin Brown. They've already taken the life of one sheriff. Cuffey and Skyers are now using you as their tool to take the life of another sheriff. Please find Sidney Dorsey not guilty of every crime. It's in this bill of indictment.
There's only one person in the universe who had the motivation to kill Derwin Brown, and that was his political opponent, Sidney Dorsey. If you aid, abet, encourage, solicit another to commit a crime, you are guilty of the entire crime. Ladies and gentlemen, justice demands a verdict of guilty on each and every count in this case.
The jury find the defendant as to count 1 guilty, as to count 2 guilty, as to count 3 guilty, as to count 4 not guilty.
Now, it's interesting, the things he was acquitted of were the charges that were associated with Shirley McMichael. But he was convicted of corruption and RICO indictments. But most importantly, he was convicted of murder.
In a case like this, the general goes to prison and the lieutenants walk free. But it's the one who ordered the crime, and he's the one being held responsible by the community. So I guess it's ultimately, justice has prevailed.
What gives you the right to take somebody's life? You know, that person, he had a family. You took that away from us. And I think it all should be taken away from you for the rest of your life. You should die in jail. You should never get out.
As you watch yourself in the mirror, understand you are the lowest scumbag of the earth. And I will not ask Judge Becker, I will not ask the DA or anyone to take your life, because like I said, my God has that in his hands. And as you sit there shaking your neck, whatever, what I wish for you is the fact that every night when you go to sleep, I want you to have a picture of Derwin every time you close your eyes, because that's all I have.
Phyllis Brown, his widow, was not given any kind of a compensation package because he had left his position at the police department and he had not been sworn in as sheriff. And so the leadership of the county turned them out. So yeah, I carry a lot of guilt about the way this all turned out because of what I pursued as a story.
I was not a party to the murder of Derwin Brown. I did not orchestrate. I did not plan. I did not play a role in the diabolical, horrible murder of the sheriff-elect. However, here I am. I never thought that an innocent man would be convicted of a crime that he didn't do. Your Honor, I know you're going to sentence me severely, but I do not have the blood of Derwin Brown on my hands.
I realize today that I carry remorse for it happening, but sadness that DeKalb County and its African American population was turning a corner in 2000. They were electing a person that they believed in, they were proud of, and they were turning a page.
All right, Mr. Dorsey, if you'll please stand. Mr. Dorsey, as you know, you were convicted by a jury in Dougherty County of the following, and I will sentence you as follows. As to count 1 murder, you were found guilty. I sentence you to life.
Dorsey got life plus 65 years. He will die in the Georgia prison system.
No parole board in Georgia is going to parole him unless it's for medical reasons, towards the end of his life or something.
I was shocked, pain, just unbelievable. Because in a lot of ways, the verdict we felt was being passed on to us.
A couple of years later, I received a call from the district attorney. She called me personally and said, I've just left the prison. Sidney Dorsey has confessed to his role in the murder of Derwin Brown.
I won't quote him exactly, but that he had indeed ordered the murder, but had tried to recall it, or something to that effect.
It's a tragedy what happened to the Brown family. Within 5 years, his wife is dead, his family's in shambles. So you asked me, what would I change? I think I would have been a little bit more vigilant, and I would have done more to try to tell Derwin Brown, you need to be very, very careful, because you telegraphing that you're going to let those 37 people go at the Sheriff's Department, that's not going to go unanswered. Something is going to happen. I wish our community would have been more vigilant in the sense of protecting Derwin Brown.
Tragedy continued for both the Brown and Dorsey families post-sentencing. As we said, Phyllis Brown died due to complications of a stroke in 2006. Sidney Dorsey's oldest son, Sidney Dorsey Jr., was murdered in 2018. Dorsey remains behind bars. I'm Tamron Hall. Thank you for watching Someone They Knew.